Good morning. Welcome to the Thursday edition of your breakfast show on Leadership Television inside Nigeria. Today is Thursday, June 2024. My name is Uneasy, your host on the program. I have some newspapers, national newspapers to review on this first segment of the show, and each of the papers have different main headline stories today for once. We have Nigeria's most influential leadership, and as we normally do on the program, we like to flag off with leadership. Leadership's main story says repeat emirate law on Uneasy camp and Kano as court rules today. On repealed emirate law on Uneasy camp in Kano as court rules today. APC and NPP on war path over Kwankwaso's allegations. Don't throw Kano into anarchy. Of course, the developing story about the repealed emirate law in Kano State with the re-emergence of Emir Sanusi on the throne of Kano. However, the court is ruling today on the repealed emirate law as between both parties, Bayero and Sanusi. From that main headline story, we move to other stories gracing the cover of leadership. Customs records 4.49 trillion naira revenue in 12 months, that is 1 year. Customs records 4.49 trillion naira revenue in 12 months. Edo PDP expects Shaibu, two others over anti-party activities. Shaibu was the former deputy governor of Edo State. Edo PDP expects Shaibu, two others over anti-party activities. Shaibu has since defected to APC. Of course, he's also supporting the APC Guba candidate for the September Guba post in the state. Makinde appoints Olalukehin as Olubadan. I'll take that again. Makinde appoints Olakulehin as Olubadan. Congratulations to him. Why court rejects fresh Kyari's bail application. The story runs on page 8 of Leadership. About the main headline story today, Rivers crisis, APC seeks emergency rule. Fubara probes sacked local government chiefs. The story is on page 4 of Leadership. And on the business bus, we have Nigeria's crude production may dip as ITO shorts 50,000 barrels per day OML 29. About the masthead of leadership, alleged terrorism, Kano opts for out-of-court settlement. Atiku Imina holds talks with IBB Abdul Salami. With that, we move to the page 3 of the paper where we have our stand. Our stand today is on the restructuring Nigerians want. Of course, Nigerians have been talking about restructuring while some are on for the regional system of government. Today's leadership is on the restructuring Nigerians want. From that, we move to the back page of the paper where we have being blunt with Muazu Elize. Muazu Elize is the GMD of Leadership Media Group. Is writing on aircraft for the president. Aircraft for the president is also an issue, vexatious issue that has torn political divides into pitching tents, while the PDP Labour Party are all against the presidency. In reply said, why it's important for the presidency to have a presidential jet. With that, we conclude review of Leadership newspaper today. For continuation of front headline stories, the editorial back page, inside pages, log on to the website www.leadership.ng. From Leadership, we move to another trending story. That is Daily Sun main story. NCDC panics over cholera spread. NCDC panics over cholera spread. Alert state government on safety measures. Lagos issues head adversary to parent schools. Beneath that, Fubara inaugurates CTC directs audit of 23 local government accounts. APC calls for state of emergency. Drug war while we go after access of various traffickers, Marwa. Court denies Abba Kyari orders bail. Congresses, PDP extends deadline for sale of forms. Edo chapter express Obi, Shaibu, Ihama. The story is on page 28 of Daily Sun. Alleged terrorism, Nnamdi Kanu seeks out-of-court settlement as court orders open space meetings with lawyers. OSP, Aito shorts OML 29 feed in Bayelsa. Probes crude loading mishap in Navy. Federal government to send first Nigerian to space. Oh, it's a story that runs on page 28 of Daily Sun. Federal government to send first Nigerian to space. PSC workers demand IGP sack. Erisco tomato paste again court shifts Chioma Okoli's trial. This story is on page 5 of Daily Sun. And from that, we move to the last story on the masthead today. And of course, it's beside the masthead. Nigeria under me better than today's Obasanjo, former president of Nigeria. Nigeria under me better than today's Obasanjo. The story is on page 29 of Daily Sun. With that, we conclude today's review of Daily Sun, Thursday, June 20, 2024. For continuation of these headline stories, log on to the website www.sunnynewsonline.com. From Daily Sun, we move to Vanguard, still on minimum wage crisis. Vanguard says minimum wage while governors' orders are foot dragging. May retrenched workers need bailout to pay. Idris detaches self from unwilling governors, awaits Labour federal government stand. No agreement by alignment of interest, organized private sector. Pushes for new act to cover employees with minimum of 200 workers. Senator Wadada begs Tinubu to approve 150,000 naira, says lawmakers willing to make sacrifices. Main headline story on Vanguard on minimum wage. Marwa says why we target access of drug barons traffickers. That is the NDLEA boss. Why we target access of drug barons traffickers. HND holders to be employed as lecturers, MBTE. Rivers crisis, Fubara orders probe of local government accounts. Second main headline story today on Vanguard newspaper. While Obaseki gives Edo CP 7 days to fish out killers of Uniben graduates. And in sports, Petit wants Arsenal to sign Osimhen. That takes us to the stories above the masthead of Vanguard. Customs to establish stable forex rate for imports. Naira depreciation makes Lagos, Abuja cheapest global cities for expatriates, according to reports. Cholera outbreak, federal government may declare emergency, NCDC DG, as some parents prevent children from school. Edo Guba, PDP expects Shaibu Obi cites anti-party activities. Obi used to be the PDP chairman of the state and also the Southwest PDP chairman. With that, we conclude today's review of Vanguard newspaper. For more, log on to the website of Vanguard, www.vanguardngro.com. From the Vanguard This Day newspaper is next. This day's headline says, I'm defending democracy and constitution in Rivers, Fubara declares. Swazing 23 caretaker chairman amid crisis, declares they can operate from anywhere. Says action against sit-tight mentality, orders audit of council accounts. Concerned elders caution as situation worsens. APC PDP trade tackles over emergency declaration, Commissioner Forbes claims. IG decries prices, calls for investigation. These are riders to the main headline story. I'm defending democracy and constitution in Rivers, Ubara declares. Kidnap of Fuani brothers, Sanwo-Olu vast perpetrators will be apprehended. And above the main headline, Buhari condones Bukola Gbemisola Saraki on passing of their mother, Morenike. PNC to Tinubu Egbetokun is peddling falsehood on police recruitment. Sack him. Stories on page 9 of This Day. Adeniyi, customs generated 4.49 trillion naira in 12 months. Says service confiscated 2.93 million litres of smuggled petrol. Rice, grains worth 4.4 billion naira orders. Pays tribute to officers who pay supreme price in line of duty. Plans special window to quicken clearance of health products. And the last story on the masthead, sack for Nigeria's plan to raise oil output as Aito shorts Nembe feed after leak. Setback for Nigeria's plan to raise oil output as Aito shorts Nembe feed after leak. The story is on page 5 of this day. With that, we conclude review of front headline stories today on this day, June 9, June 20, 2024. For continuation of these headline stories, log on to the website of this day, www.thisday.live.com. From this day live, we move to the last paper we have on our menu, and that is The Guardian. The Guardian looks at fiscal stimulus, wage review, add fresh uncertainty to inflation outlook. Fiscal stimulus, wage review, add fresh uncertainty to inflation outlook. Beneath that, we have customs revenue surges 74%, hits for 4.49 trillion naira in a year. Ataga, family alleges moves by powerful forces to compromise case. Don set Kano on fire over chieftaincy law, NNPP wants APC. Nnamdi Kano considers out of court settlement. Court dismisses Abakari's fresh bail request. The story is on page 30 of The Guardian. At last, Makinde approves appointment of Olakunlehin as 43rd Olubadan. 95% of real sector operates at shutdown point. Stakeholders warn. Fubara orders audit of council's funds, advocate space. Last story gracing the cover of The Guardian, averting further breakdown in minimum wage negotiations. It's actually the editorial on The Guardian today, and it's on page 12 of the paper. Averting further breakdown in minimum wage negotiations. With that, we conclude the review of the front headline stories today on The Guardian newspaper, Thursday, June 20, 2024. For continuation of these headline stories and the editorial and inside pages, log on to the website of The Guardian, www.guardian.ng. Also, with that, we also conclude the first segment of this show, Inside Nigeria. Don't forget, second half is coming in with our guest, Thursday guest in the house. Don't go away, stay tuned. And the program is Inside Nigeria. Inside Nigeria is a breakfast show where we discuss current affairs program on Leadership Television. My name is Winifred Ugbebo, your host on the program. Beside me is our Thursday guest. He's a public affairs analyst, also a political economist, Olamilekan Adefolari. Thank you so much once again.
Thanks for having me.
The program.
Thanks for
It's been a while. Just
Exactly.
being good.
Exactly.
Yes, we have the most of the headline stories today are from are developing stories actually. Starting with leadership. Today is the D-Day. The law is going to take its course on the pending issue, repealed EMIRATE law. Uneasy Kano has court rules today. So what are we going to be looking at? It's as the court, court has power to decide on a law that was repealed by the state's House of Assembly.
I think they have, to an extent, they could come in as a way of showing peace or leading people into peace, but not necessarily trying to, usurp the power of the lawmakers at the Kano, or rather want to override whatever the lawmaker in Kano have done, because it's a state law, it's a subnational law that want to help them to be able to govern the traditional Emirate Council. So for me, I think the court will definitely make a statement or a judgment that will be both sides favor, in the sense that whatever they are going to make is made in terms of their statement will favor the team, in the sense that will call for further dialogue and further discussion, or which could be out of court settlement.
We saw what happened last week in
Mm.
is it appeal court?
Mm.
Is it appeal court? Last ruling Friday,
Mm.
and of course the court ruled with all the three prayers that Bayero sought. The court only granted one, and that is a freedom of human rights to move
Exactly.
about.
Exactly.
But we saw that the court tactfully
Mm.
stayed away
From
from the two other prayers
exactly,
that he asked for.
exactly. Because it is a state,
Why was that?
it's a state legislative act.
Mm.
The court may not necessarily put his eyes on that particular thing because it's an act that it is the state assembly that will amend that particular law. It is not for the court. It's just for the court to help them to interpret in a more peaceful way. But as I earlier pointed out, they will suggest to them that this could be done out of court settlement, or they should go back to the state house of assembly and find an amendment to it. That would be the ruling of the court, in my own understanding of what will happen. Because the court also will not be want to find themselves in entanglement of causing they may have or what others have seen as something that may throw Kano into turmoil. Exactly.
Okay. Are you also of the opinion that court's ruling today may also mar or maybe may be inimical to the peace of the state?
Definitely it will, because it has happened in the past. It's just that this one may not be as tension as the past. In a sense that I earlier said, I said the court will just make statements or make judgment that will persuade the two parties to go and sort for remedy in the state house of assembly.
But I hope it's not going to confuse the whole thing. It should be clear on the decision. We've seen cases like that. Like for instance, in Plateau State, the state House of Assembly members, they are still in quagmire.
Definitely, that one is quite different from in the sense that this one deals with state house of assembly making a law in governing the state. That one has to do with the electoral issue.
Yes.
But on this particular one, I see the court just making a statement that will also call for. At the end of the day, it could be something that will be dragged to the Supreme Court. And when they get to the Supreme Court will still refer them to the Constitution. And the Constitution has rightly stipulated the rules of State House of Assembly in making laws for traditional rules and the rest of them, which the State House of Assembly has the power to do. So even if they drag it to the Supreme Court will still refer them to the State House of Assembly. It is only the State House of Assembly that can make the final judgment or make the final remedy on this particular issue. It is not the court per se, although the court may help them to interpret in a more peaceful way so that the tension can reduce, but it may not have the final judgment that reverse to the status quo or to the elders. It won't do that because it is not its law. It was not the one that made that law. It is the State House of Assembly that made that law.
Wow, it's interesting. So there's tension-soaked atmosphere in Kano as the leadership reported that as they await the judgment today. From leadership, we move to Vanguard. That is where you play the kick sector. What is happening as far as minimum wage? Why are governors still dragging? But what is the situation on ground now? Like a colleague just asked me, what is happening? What is playing out presently?
I think what is playing out is for the two parties, the government, the tripartite parties, the government, the labor, as well as the private sector, to now say, okay, this is what we have agreed. There's an agreement already. There's an alignment already. But how to push it out in a way that the public can accept it, where we have an issue. And the government doesn't want to just throw it out and make it look like as if they present the card before the horse. And in this regard, yesterday I was just moving my mind through this particular and I was like, okay, maybe what the president is looking at, he doesn't want to come and make an announcement without the labor involved. And he doesn't want to take that act because it's an act to National Assembly without labor involved. Because once you take it to National Assembly, it will be signed. That's already passed. So I'm looking at my thinking is that maybe the president is looking at an opportunity whereby everybody will be on the table and finally agree. Because yesterday, some state governors are still dragging issues around that they cannot 60,000. But the federal government does not have already over 100,000 have been put on the because if it's not.
But however, there was a report that 105,000.
Yes, the government said it was a link.
But the government said it was not true. At the end of it, they came out with 62,000 naira. So how far is there a nexus now? Because so many intents and purposes, people are of course speculating that at least give or take maybe 100 or 150.
Exactly.
So where are we? Is there going to be a nexus? And we also have the private sector arguing that they cannot go that far.
Exactly. I think what the federal government is trying to do is to ensure that this is flexible. There was a suggestion by Lagos Chambers of Commerce some weeks back that the government should look at the flexibility of this minimum wage. If you propose 150, another group can propose 120, another group can propose 80,000. Then Labour will not take a look at it. You see that over the weeks now, Labour kept quiet. because they already gotten
Yes.
something tangible
Yes,
that
the
they are
boss
looking
kept
for.
quiet.
That's why they kept
We're
quiet.
not hearing
But
anything from them.
so they are only waiting for a final assessment and a final acceptance by all. But the governors, not all the governors, some governors are still insisting that they cannot be able to afford what is on table. So it is that area of flexibility of this particular minimum wage. That's what we have gotten. That's what that is the report. Okay, if you don't want to accept this, what are you offering? I think that's what Labour is waiting for, and that's where federal, because for federal government, their case is closed. They have already done
However,
their
you know, in one of our episodes in this program, we did say that whatever the federal government agree on is binding on state government. But we had the situation whereby this 30, even this 30,000, many states government were not paying up to 30%.
It's because
and it was not binding, and nothing was done about it.
I think just today we are doing a report on fiscal, the current tax committee of the federal government set up, led by Taiwo Dele. And one of the questions that was thrown at me was that issue of fiscal policy, is it the problem of tax or is it the problem of fiscal policy? I said no, it is both combined. Now, state governors are generating money. What are they using the money for? Nobody's asking that question. Now, the physical problem now lead to whereby they can't pay salaries, they can't do development projects. So, where is the money going to? So, those are the issues. So, some state governors can pay that 30,000 and beyond, but because of the burden of how we share the resources of the state, that's what is causing the problem. Check the list of appointees of those state governors. Some of them runs into thousands of individuals have been appointed.
Yes.
So how do they now cater for those individuals? Meanwhile, they will sideline civil servant, they will sideline pension, they will not pay them. But you'll be taking care of the political appointees, because if you don't do that, the next election you will not win. And that's what is eating up the funding of state government. Not that they cannot pay that, they can even pay more than that. But because of that physical imbalances they created for them, because of the resource distribution in the state, and that's why they have that challenge. But we just hope that with the new orientation that is coming, there can be a change.
Yes, because we had a lineup of state government and what they were willing to pay, and we also states like Zamfara are saying that they can only pay 30,000 naira. And just like you mentioned, Zamfara is a state that we even saw recently that the governor bought these high-end vehicles for his political appointees and state house for assembly, and yet it says they cannot pay more than 30,000.
It's because they prioritize those appointees than
just like
they prioritize the appointees and the civil servants. They also prioritize development issues as against what they are giving to their political appointees. So what they think is the next election who help them to be able to stabilize their political career in the state level. So the only way to ensure that they stabilize their political career is to ensure that they continue to feed their food soldiers. Who are the food soldiers? The political appointees. And you know that if you look at the categorization of these political appointees, when you appoint an SA, the SA has an SA, he has a PA. If you go to the local government, you see a chunk of individuals that are going to be settling. So with whatever the state government is giving to them, that's what they settle them, whether with contract or whatever. So these are the challenges that, like Zafara, I don't want to accept that from Governor Lawa or Zafara. He's just deceiving people. He can pay beyond 30,000. What about the money that will be generating through licenses to people who are mining gold and other resources?
Yes, in the states.
So what is he doing? He recently has been building roads. He's doing urban renewal, and he's spending billions of naira. So where did he get those money from? Or you can even borrow this. After he said he has 9 trillion naira in his account, you can bring it out and pay.
Yes, that's no money.
That's what he declared in the code of conduct.
Yes, they're not willing to pay. Now talking about this minimum wage issue, the Guardian also has had another impetus to it. It says fiscal stimulus, wage review, add fresh uncertainty to inflation outlook.
You know, these are the technical aspects of the minimum wage.
Then you consider that the wage review, this minimum wage, the civil servants, how many are they? First and foremost.
Yeah, the federal government says he has about 1.2 million of civil servants and public servants in Skiti, including personnel, security personnel, all entirely 1.2 million. That's what the federal government has. I don't know what each state governors are. I know the state governors, some of them don't have up to 200,000.
Yes.
Apart from teachers, they don't have up to that. So how come they cannot pay? But the issue about this physical stimulus goes back to the technical aspect of the economy of minimum wage, where we need to begin to understand, okay, if we begin to release too much money to the economy, through wages and everything, how will it affect the money circulation? How will it affect government fiscal policies and everything? Those are the technical aspects. Although the laborers, the workers don't want to listen to that technical aspect because it's the jargon. Because what they want is money to be paid to them, and they are interested in good salary. and a good welfare. Although it has its own positive side, it has negative side also.
But Olamilekan, I'm also actually surprised that NSC at the end of the day jettisoned every other thing
Mm.
and just focusing on minimum wage.
Mm.
Minimum wage. What about the high electricity tariff that it was contending against?
Mm.
What about even the fuel that we are paying against? I'm surprised that they are not even talking about this.
I,
Is he aware that even if they give him 200,000 and he goes to the market with all the bills they will pay at the end of the day, they will be virtually left with nothing.
I was in part of the NNC
Yeah.
protesters that locked down neck and means of power. And one of the things that they are doing is that one after the other, we take some of it. Now it's minimum wage. Let the government agree to pay minimum wage. Then we now go back to we now go back to other content issues that is affecting the workers. So the electricity issue will still come. They will still come back to the version or the passing of that
We've been
particular.
seeing reports of hospitals having to pay how many millions of naira every month, and some are even shut down some of their outpatient department because of
because of it, there's no electricity and they don't have money, and
Yes.
they also transmit that cost on patients to pay in terms of the hospital bill. So for labor, they will still go back to what they call the electricity tariff. That government must, even the government will not reduce the entire 200%. I think they should bring it down to 150 or 160. Then gradually they will begin to know what to do. But for labor, they believe that when minimum wage is addressed and workers have minimum wage, any other thing can follow up in this regard. So that's what they are looking at. Although, as I earlier pointed out, these are the technical aspects of it. That when you pay worker salary, definitely the woman in the market is waiting for you to come and begin to tell you tomato,
and they don't
1,000
know that
naira tomato
they
is
are
about
just
5
few.
pieces. Exactly.
They are just few civil servants that increased salary is just few compared to other private sector
workers.
So now, what is the way forward? Because from the report released by NBS that inflation has increased to 33.63%.
Definitely it will continue to go high because apart from the issue of fiscal policy and monetary policy aggravating inflation, there are other issues within the economy that are also aggravating the sector. I mean, inflation, particularly government policy, because government policy have not really helped. The way government is increasing tariff, with the way government is doing FX exchange, as well as the way government is also not doing aggressive agricultural policy to address food inflation, because food inflation is the major challenge that we are facing. So when government is doing technical agricultural policy, whereby you are bringing money, you give to political farmers, you bring money, you bring fertilizer, you distribute. All we are hearing is paper money, paper money. But the real issues, the real farmers are not getting some of these things. What has happened to there's about 3 projects that government has embarked. They call it RAM, Rural Agricultural Access Market, so that people who have farmers can have access to market. It's just technical issue. The people who are doing this are just NGO stuff. When I go through some of them, I was like, the real farmers are not meeting with them. You're only meeting with people in Abuja. You're meeting with people at the government level. There's also another project that they call it ACRISA, Agricultural Semi-Land Project, which is to attract agriculture and farmers so that they can give them equipment and the rest of them. Even some states are participating, some states are not participating. When some states are paying their own part of the money they're supposed to pay, others are not paying. So when this aggregated policy is not bottom related in terms of transmitting to the bottom of the ladder of farmers, definitely they won't be able to get results as expected.
Thank you so much. Now there is another trendy story that I just also wanted to shed light on is on the presidential jet. Recently the presidential candidate of Labour Party in 2023 elections, Peter Obi and PDP, displayed a presidency's decision to purchase 2 additional presidential jets for Mr. President and his wife. Meanwhile, in reaction, the presidency said they wouldn't want what happened to Malian vice president and Iranian president to also happen to
the president
that
or the vice president.
that we throw the country into turmoil. What is your? I miss the hardship. Nigerians
are crying that why we go and buy. It's the way it's on both sides. Do we want to maintain our old record?
And even the president had to go on a charter flight to South Africa just 2 days ago.
Although many Nigerians will not want the government to buy a new plane because of the current economic condition that are affecting us. On the other hand, we also need to look at it objectively. Is it that the presidential fleet are already old? Are they worn out? Can they just collapse in the air anytime soon? So those are the things we not to look. But for me, I think if it is going on private jet to help the president, although because of the security details, they may not want to be exposing those to private jet hiring all the time. So because of that, if it is going to be cost effective to be hiring a private jet, we go for that. But for the other angle is our fleet. Is it
But
that
during
they
the
are too
Buhari time,
old?
I thought we had about 7 or
No,
even 9.
exactly. Buhari, they sold part of it. There were about 6 of them. They sold 2. It was left with 4. You get it? So maybe these 4 now, they are also afraid that they are too old to fly, so that they will not go and crash one day. Although for me, I think Nigerians have set their mind that the government will not be too frivolous in buying.
They should be sensitive to
the plight of the economy. As I earlier pointed out, if it is taking private jet, it will be more cost effective. Although we may also begin to have procurement issue with that, and again security issues with that. So we just have to wait on that. But going forward, I think if it is to sell the 4 that is available now and get one good one, new chassis, tier leather to normally say in local parlance, that would be better. That means we sell the 4, buy a smaller one, not necessarily a jumbo airplane, get a smaller one compatible to serve the president and his entourage. That would be better. That would be more better.
All right, thank you so much. Now, recently, too, just 2 days ago, and it was in the papers that Nigeria's crude oil production has dipped. And today they said that it continues because I2, another major player in the oil sector, shows 50,000 barrels per day when 29. And the NNPC reported yesterday that it fell short of it, but it was able to produce, I think, OPEC 1.75 million barrels per day.
I think they are still within
the large shortfall. Now one
shortfall.
begin to have a wonder what happened to Tatiana, because even Tatiana ran an advertorial that they are being attacked.
Definitely,
That
because
staff and personnel are being attacked.
exactly.
So what's actually happening?
Because the issue of the oil theft in Nigeria is not just a local.
Don't forget that oil is still Nigeria's mainstay.
Definitely.
If we are not able to meet our quota, then what happens? We are losing money.
We are losing money. It's 2 million barrels that OPEC have set as a standard for every member. So we are still struggling between 1.6 and 1.7.
Yes. We have 1.75
million barrels per day. So the attack, for me, for someone who has been able to look into the oil theft scenario in Nigeria, it's not just a Nigerian thing. It has become a global oil theft phenomenon that we just look at it beyond just the Niger Delta militant. It has gone beyond, because people are buying that crude oil. I've asked a question one day. I say, why is it that OPEC on its own cannot determine to stop oil theft crude oil that have been stolen, sold international money? What can they do to detect it and discourage the buyers from getting it? Well, nobody could answer the question, because they know that it's quite difficult, because it's a cartel that runs through the entire global scenario of oil and gas industry. But we just hope that the security details in Nigeria can be able to take advantage of what is going on and do the needful. The job for me is too large. There's need for us to bring in 2-3 parties. Although the Nigerian Navy is the main security, we can also expand the scope of security companies that are doing the job, so that we can have a better coverage of the entire oil facilities in Nigeria and beyond.
All right, thank you so much. Anyway, Nigeria is getting so much revenue from non-oil sector. Now, the KPMG did say that no country ever taxed itself to prosperity, that they should also look for other means instead of taxing the citizens.
But is it not the same experts that have suggested, like us in the past, that we need to look away from oil?
Yes.
So now government have gotten...
The government is not looking at tax. And just 2 days ago, the paper also reported that NIDA has the bill to give 1% company tax.
Exactly.
So NIDA has passed it's almost gone through, and was like another again tax on companies that are
already struggling to pay
the country.
I think that will go contrary against the Finance Act. I think the Finance Act was one of these I stated.
1% to meet that from companies.
From where? Where is
profit sales?
From where? Who is going to? Where are they going? Because it's supposed to be in the Finance Act. And you know that in the Finance Act we have had trouble with all items and all the donations that will begin tackling and sending, like NITV, National Industrial Training Fund, and we have had issue that even KPMG and Pricewater have come out and say all this money you are giving to all these domicile organizations, what are they using it for? So if you need that, which in Nigerian, I think they focus on Nigeria Agricultural Development, Land Development Agency. That's what they do. But though we have several NIDA organizations, but if it's NIDA, or is it the one that focus on space science and
I think it's
space science. Now, it has to go through the review of the Finance Act, because in the Finance Act we already stipulated agencies and companies will be giving money to where we'll be collecting the money. And that's why when the Fiscal Policy Committee that federal government said, I said, at the end of the day, whatever recommendation they are going to give, they must go back and check the Finance Act and be able to amend some of those, they can balance it. So for the NIDA 1% or whatever they want to collect now, they have to go back to the finance tax because it has to be captured in there.
Okay.
If it's not captured in there, this one will, by the time you get to the public hearing, a lot of people
You're going
will
to
shut it down.
All right, thank you so much. Now, talking of court cases, we still have the issue of pending Kano led terrorism, Kano ups for out of court settlement finally. So, what are we going to be having?
I think this has been one of the suggestions made to him earlier when this case started, although his supporters and him himself and people handling him refused to take that this could not work. But now maybe because they have found a new president that is ready to listen to them.
And Scott has already ordered open space meetings with lawyers.
So maybe it could be something that the presidency is also in agreement with, so that they can settle this case and Kano can be freed, and the Southeast also can have their peace. I know 27 election is coming. This could be a plus to APC and Tinubu if we could get the buy-in and acceptance of everybody that Kano be free without any legal tussle and the rest of it. It's about boiling down to terrorism issue. So I just hope that it will work for them and it will not be politicized as it was done before. It will be done in a way that everybody will just see that peace has come and agreement has been signed.
And he's released.
Exactly.
Still on court cases, we are still having a theatre of war in River State. But others audit of council's funds advocates peace. And in other newspapers, we have that the police has actually taken control of those local government councils, with Kubara saying that his chairman or caretaker committee can rule, can officiate from anywhere. What are we having?
It's one of those political games now. So what he's doing is that to strengthen his political base at the rural area. Because if you allow Wike local government chairman to continue ruling the local government, he may not have much power to be able to control. Then when it comes to the funding, by the time you begin to deduct their money, these are the guys that will make the noise.
You see why this local government autonomy is very, very, very vital now. It's coming at a time that there's no better time than now for you to. The Supreme Court is about to
make it. They are giving all the governors to respond, so the governors will respond.
Because that's what Nigerians badly need now: local government autonomy to ensure even development and autonomy. Because if local government were actually autonomous, there is no need for Kubara to be fighting over.
Exactly. The thing is that they have gotten this autonomy earlier. But most of us didn't know. And it was not practicalized because it became a challenge to the governor. So that's why
because when you go to the constitution, it says 3 tiers of government. So I'm beginning to wonder then why are we not operating as such?
It must have become an empire, they have become monsters with local government. So that's why. But for me, as you remember the review of local government during the first time of Buhari, it was given to them. They got they gave the state assembly the autonomy, they gave the court at the state level autonomy. They also gave local government autonomy. But one thing about local government autonomy are in 2 phases. One is political autonomy. The second one is financial autonomy. What we are having is that the two are most loved in a way that is it political autonomy you want to give local government or financial autonomy. But for me, it is the two that have to be given to them. The financial and political. The political is when now election in local government will not be conducted by
the state government. Yes, that's what even the Attorney General Latif Fagbemi also moved to abolish
state independent electoral commission, which is very, very key.
Very
then the other aspect is the financial aspect, whereby whatever local government is collecting from the FAC,
it goes directly to them.
The governor doesn't have to say, okay, how much do they give you? Bring it.
No, he collects it. No, everything they pay it to the state coffers. While he begins to do
deduction and
for that Christmas rebate and give them to to the extent that even teachers are supposed to be under local government. They protested then when I was still on the field that they don't want to be under the public. They want to be under
state government because they believe that local government chairman can do. But they have forgotten that it is local government that
because their salaries are not being paid.
Although
you see staff of local government,
the problem is that they thought that it was local government chairman that were muzzling their salary. They didn't know that it was the governors that are doing it. I think their eyes are open. That's why you see that their organization are now pushing that there should be financial autonomy, there should be political autonomy. So going forward, for me, I think the Supreme Court should make a landmark
judgment on this.
I just hope that many Nigerians will not sit at a political witch hunt against certain political parties or certain because I've seen a glitch whereby people are now saying, no, Tinubu want to use it to victory down some political parties or victory down some individuals. That maybe on some discussion they say no, they don't want to use it, but people are forgetting it is part and parcel of our democratic development. If local government is free, we can ask them for. If you ask the local government chairman, why is it that the money they gave you
And you can even reduce the space of insecurity in the
Insecurity.
country, because they are going to develop all these
Exactly,
ungoverned
on
spaces.
spaces
There are so many
within them.
ungoverned spaces within the country. That is where bandits go and
Bandits are
hide.
taking over
All those
and
forests
kidnappers.
taking over and kidnappers. And when you spread the development to this area, I think it will
Definitely,
reduce them.
definitely. And again, it also give. Although what I see is that if local governments have that autonomy financially and materially, they can now work, because the angle I'm seeing this freedom they will get is that federal government can work directly with them, not through state government.
Yes.
Because what is happening, like the two projects I told you that the Minister of Agriculture is RAMP and Akrisa, it is being run through the state government. Now they will push the money to the state governor. The state governor will look at some local government and say, okay, you have and choose. Meanwhile, the money is meant for all of them. So when the local government is now free, federal government can now work directly with them and do projects with them, and it will be more easy to get accountability and transparency on the fund that's been given to them.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thanks for having me.
Well, viewers, this will draw the curtain on today's Thursday, June 2024 edition of your breakfast show, Inside Nigeria, reaching you on leadership television. My name is Jennifer Global, and I've had the pleasure of having company, a public affairs analyst, political economist, Olamilekan Adekunle. Thank you so much once again. And don't forget to join us same time, same station tomorrow for another fresh edition of the program. Meanwhile, join us for news on the hour on this platform. See you. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio.